Well, finally had some good news today. Looks like we might have found a place to live, which is good. We might have found a nanny or a babysitter to help with the kids. That is good. Finally starting to get our legs under us. Man, that was a tough 2-3 days. You know, you guys know exactly what happened because you lived it with us. We literally threw everything in the car and left. And we had left, 40 some horses, maybe 50 horses in Ontario. But it looks like that may change too in the very near future. James is thinking of maybe going to Yonkers or the Meadowlands. These drivers are leaving. Travis Henry's coming over here to work with us. Bob McClure is already in the Meadowlands doing some racing of his own. Brett McDonald, I know, is thinking of leaving. Everybody's thinking of leaving because they don't trust when we're going to be back. And that puts me in an untenuous position also where what am I going to do? Right? What's the stable going to do? I can't keep assuming we're going to race May 6th when we all know we're not. We may not race June 6th. So where does that leave the stable.ca? Where does that leave you? Where does that leave me? I'm going to give you some names that we're thinking of potentially moving, and I told you in 2 videos already that Plain Ridge Raceway in Massachusetts is the place we're going to be sending some other horses, and I told you why. We have to be smart about our maneuvers more now than ever. You saw how hasty maneuvers ended quite poorly for us this winter when we had a number of horses. We just moved to Northfield and Pennsylvania. They didn't fit in. They got run over, and we had to sell them. So we need to be smarter about what we're moving. The horses we're talking about maneuvering around right now are not for sale. I don't think these are horses that are going to do some good for us whenever Ontario does start. But I believe now is the time. Now is the time. We have enough information now. It doesn't look like we're racing for a while. Now is the time to maybe make a move. And I believe Plain Ridge Racecourse is the move to be made. I'll give you a quick overview of why. We were thinking Indiana, but then Indiana told me they were starting to fill up. Filling up is important. If you're short of horses, that means we're likely going to get raced every week, right? That's what that means. But if you don't have a lot of vacancies, what that means is we can't get in every week. So I need to send the horses somewhere they can get in. Massachusetts went with 8 races on their card the other night. I talked to the race secretary. I talked to the guy running the track down there, who is a friend of a friend, and told us that, yeah, here's a list of horses and classes that we need that you'll get in every week with. We can fill that shopping cart quite simply, and we will. So I'm going to go through the 3-year-olds. Pay attention, please. I may make a mistake, but I want to tell you who I'm looking at. Now, keep in mind, we're going to move 5, maybe 6, 7 at the very most that I think are going to do some damage right away, but they need to be sharpened up. We're probably going to have to take them over to Northfield Park. Stiff training session, a couple of qualifiers, or a qualifier for sure. Move them down. The earliest you're going to see them at Plain Ridge Racecourse would be second week in May. Now, they don't have to be there for a week and then race. It's an 8-hour ship, so we'd want to send them down at least 4 days before. So we still have to solidify a trainer. We talked to a number of people, had some recommendations, talked to some people. The biggest downfall of all this is, unfortunately, we are going to have to lay somebody off. I think either we can work collectively as a group and say, hey, we're going to need this person in the fall and later in the summer. Why don't we keep them paid, maybe at a little bit lower rate, keep them paid just to keep them on staff. If they want to do some work for somebody on the side, fine. But when push comes to shove and we need them back, we'll need them back. That's an opportunity. That's an option. We'll talk about that as a group. But for now, we're probably going to have to lay somebody off. So let's not worry about that too much yet. We have options. We have things that we can do to keep people around. It's not a ton of money, but at the same time, we have to do what's best for the stable first and foremost. So let's get right at it. Adrenaline Rush, a qualifier in 58. He was probably looking at a qualifier in 56 coming back. A 5/8 mile track for the horse that's got 2 wins. Makes sense. We have a number of horses that fit this bill. So Adrenaline Rush could definitely be on the list of horses that may head to Plain Ridge Racecourse first and foremost. Barbie's Crown won't. This is a maiden, a filly that I want to get some weight on. I know I'll talk to Steve about it. And if Steve really is ambitious and really wants this filly moved, I could. I just think giving her time to grow up, fill out, mature will do her some good. I think this is a filly that's going to be a late bloomer, and sending her away right now, maybe not the best for her. Better's Hope, I just don't think he's good enough to go away just yet. I'm happy with what I saw. Qualifier in 59. The changes, I saw him train in the I think in the race bike on Saturday, but I was happy with his gait, much happier with his gait. I think this is a colt that could do some good. Again, a little more time to put a little more weight on him, work harder on him, I think would benefit from him staying in Ontario. So I wouldn't say he's immediately on the list. Blue Monk's definitely on the list. This horse that was racing will continue to race. He's a horse that could do maybe a couple of these horses. One of them might stay around and race in Pennsylvania or so. But for right now, Blue Monk could race anywhere. I know he doesn't get around the turns good. Northfield Park's turns, anybody can get around for the most part. But fitting in the straight now is a 3. Plain Ridge is a definite possibility, or the Meadows, but Blue Monk definitely on the radar to move. Braemar is Indigo, will likely be Indigo Thursday or Friday. This horse, I think he's sitting on a big mile. I'd like to have him back to back to back, so I don't think you're going to see his best mile come out his next start, maybe the week after, but some shoeing changes and equipment changes I believe will be great for him. Brilliant Corners is a horse. He might be one of the biggest horses to move. 1 win, I think, lifetime. A lot to offer. I love the way this horse has looked and trained down. Harry has done an incredibly good job with all these colts that we're about to talk about. But at the same time, Brilliant Corners is a horse, got to get moving. I love what I see from this horse. Can't Muscle Me. We'll go to Broadway Roll. She's racing in New York. This is a filly that I think will do some good for us in New York. I know Mark Beckwith loves the way she looks and was really happy with the way she qualified. So interested to see what's going to happen with her. Can't Muscle Me. Yeah. Maiden. Qualified in 2-2. Lots to offer. Lots in front of her. I would say the first maiden to leave would be War We Welcome, I would think. But looking at this, Can't Muscle Me, maybe not too far behind her. Cut the Line is in the sale in Ohio at the first week in May, so we'll draw the papers on her. We had a couple of people call and kind of beat around the bush, and if we're going to get offered $4,000 or $5,000, I'd rather take the $4,000 or $5,000 out of the U.S. in American funds, take away the fees and everything else. It's not that much different, but the whole point of it, I hate people. To sell her for $4,000 is virtually saying, hey, I don't care what you do with her, and I'm not in that boat. I like the filly. I just don't think she's good enough. So Cut the Line will leave first part of May. First Glance. Wow, this is a tough one. He's got 2 wins. A couple other horses fit in there also. I'd rather not move him right away. This is a horse that was doing very well in Ontario, but he can be a little flighty. Do I want to ship him around to a bunch of places, especially when the training center is probably an hour from the track, ship them to the track and race them? He wouldn't be my first choice, not because I don't think he's good enough. I like this colt. I think he's got lots to offer. I just don't know if maybe waiting it out a little longer is the best way to go for him. Some of these horses I think would be, if we were to talk about waves, I would think First Glance would be in a second wave situation for no other reason than I would like to wait it out with him if I could. If we can't, then we should have him ready to move at first notice. Fox Valley Britska, we'll race him this week, tomorrow in Ohio, and then we'll ship him out to. Now Travis is coming. I'm going to give Travis the opportunity to go race these horses in Indiana. So you may see Italian Grit race in Indiana next week under Travis. You may see Fox Valley Britska under Travis, and we may send an overnight horse or two also. It's 4 hours from Northfield to Indiana, but not a lot of stabling around Indiana. And as I said to Travis, why don't you stay central to here? We could even send him down to the Columbus area, but there's not a whole lot going on down there either for us. Miami Valley is strictly and a lot Ohio owned and bred, so not a lot of racing there for us. I think it makes more sense just to try and ship them first, see how they respond to that, maybe go down the day before, leave the next morning, take your time and do it in that way. That makes more sense, but we'll see. We'll see how this plays out, but you'll likely see Fox Valley Britska in Indiana next week. Furley Fringes will likely either race Friday. I made mine up now. Now they're saying the maiden is Friday in the Meadows, or she can come back Tuesday in Ohio. They're talking about 3 or 4 days. I'll talk to Jason about that. They draw tomorrow, and between Jason and I and Tim will formulate a plan on her. Gray is the New Red is racing in the series, and little point of contention, a little bone of contention there. I put her in the sale and told everybody I'm just trying to hedge my bets. There were some people that don't want to see Gray as the New Red leave, and I'm not in a big hurry to have Gray as the New Red leave. But if she races poorly in the next leg and in the final, and then the sale has already closed and you can't get her in it, kind of kneecapping ourselves. And now you're talking about straight fares. race for $3,000 every 10 days all summer. All of our owners, my partners on the filly, will lose money on her every single month. Best case scenario is break even. Worst case scenario is you're writing me a check. I'm just trying to look out for everybody. That's worst case scenario. I mean, the filly might go out and win in 55 or race good the next 3 legs. It's a moot point. It's $150 to hedge your bets 3 or 4 weeks from now is all it was. So that is Gray as a New Red. GW Chrome will race tomorrow. Expecting better things from this horse. I'll see how he races tomorrow. I love George. We'll see how George races for me tomorrow. Aglariam, it doesn't look like she made the final. This is probably, of all that went on this week, one of the most disappointing points of the week. It's a long year. I don't really care about the series, but the fact that she made that break when she looks like she is tons the best in this series, made that break, and then, made that break in the elimination, unfortunately, and didn't get to get in the final. That is a real kick in the teeth. Had to scratch her sick the second week, then she schooled so good the other day. I mean, worse things could happen. It's a long year for her. We ever paid into Pennsylvania and Kentucky. I like this filly a lot, but was really looking forward to racing her in the final of that. I'm a Lovely Lady races in the Iron Maiden tomorrow. I think she'll do just fine. I keep saying tomorrow, but it's actually Wednesday. I'm sure she'll do just fine. Italian Grit coming off a huge win. He'll race Wednesday also. Looking forward to that. Jazzy Judy's training back. Awesome. Now, we've only gone 2 training trips with her, but she looks good. Real good. I love what I see in Judy. The only person a little dismayed with Judy is Jason, because she jumped on his foot last week, which only makes me like her a little bit more quietly. Keystone Raven is entered in the sale. Just one of those things where if we had a lot more time and had all the infinite amount of money, who knows? We could maybe milk some speed out of her later in the summer, but just doesn't look like she's super talented right now. I feel worse because this has been a horse we've had a lot of questions swirling around for a long time, and it makes me feel like we just kind of drug everybody along, but that certainly wasn't the case. I want to make sure I can put my stamp of approval or disapproval on any horse when we make decisions, and Keystone Raven I just don't think is going to do us a ton of good right now. Miss Meringue is here in Ohio with us now. She's going to be at least a month from racing. She's coming though. Mama Knows Best will qualify her Thursday morning here in Ohio. My Jazz is entered, as far as I know, is getting in Miami Valley in the Scarlet and Gray. So I guess, the racing gods giveth and taketh away. They took away the entry for Aglariam, and they gave us the entry for My Jazz. My Jazz got an invite, as far as I was told, got an invite to the Scarlet and Gray. Where are we at? Jazzy Girl, no free lunch. Ooh. He's one of the ones I'm really thinking about Massachusetts with. Here's a horse with, 2 wins? 2 wins, a mark of 51 as a 2-year-old. I think he would do very, very well in Massachusetts for a few starts. Being able to come back, with good lines, sharp horse, full of himself, and some experience and real race muscle on him, would be a feather in our cap. This was not something I was looking forward to talking about because we had a May 6th deadline, right? We thought that May 6th we'd be back. Then it was like, maybe May 20th. It's looking like June or into June right now. As I said, I'm looking at the news out of Ontario today. The highest number of positivity cases was today in Ontario. So no free lunch is on my radar. Northern Blizzard, until I just made this video, was not on my radar, but I'd love to have a powerhouse maiden. I think War We Welcome, and again, we're talking waves. War We Welcome would probably be immediately, whereas Northern Blizzard getting ready, I'd like to give him a couple of stiff training trips. He's probably 3 weeks from being ready. In 3 weeks' time, if we say, it looks like June 1st, 3 weeks is the second week of May. I guess it's not the end of the world, but there are some horses that are ready to go immediately. And I think Northern Blizzard, although he's on my radar now, I think War We Welcome is the obvious choice to be immediately right now. Perfect Record was fantastic at the Meadowlands. I can't believe the transition from this horse. He went from literally maybe an Amish horse last year to, where did that horse come from? 3rd and 56. Looked great, trotting strong to the wire. I was just so impressed with, one, the way Mark drove him, the way that Mark Beckwith took him to the track, the way the horse behaved. I was just really happy all around, and very impressed with Perfect Record last week. Rose Run Why Not is back here, same trajectory as Miss Meringue, probably a month before we have them ready to go. We had to give them a little time. Long year, though, not the end of the world. Cyrus Blue Chip is in to go this week with Mark Beckwith. Interested to see how this guy is going to do this week. He said he wanted 2 more starts with him, maybe 3. I gave him the time. We'll see. Wasn't impressive his first start, but he went in 59. That's what I figured he could do. Let's see if he can do some more. We'll see that soon. So Admirable's in this week. Not a great qualifier. Mark asked to change some equipment. I said, Mark, you're training the horse on your track. Change all the gear, all the shoes and equipment you want. She's in your care now. So we'll see how he makes out this week with her. Sweet Ambitions is in to go Wednesday. I told Hunter Myers, I said, not very tricky. She wears nothing. She wore bell boots and vet wrap behind. She was a horse, again, very similar to Perfect Record. Thought she was very, very ordinary and mediocre, and then just came up with speed from somewhere. The only thing I said to him, when you get to the turn with this filly, she'll soften up, make her do her work and push through the turn. She'll get better as we go on, as the year goes. But I think if you let her drop into neutral, you might get in trouble with her. So make sure you push her. I said she can leave with the car. You can do what you want with her. She's a nice filly. How, I don't know, but she is. Tanzanite Tricks, another one. Plain Ridge? Maybe. I like this filly. I would like to put some weight on her. So if we're going to say, okay, who's our maiden to go right now? I think I have it in my mind that War We Welcome is that maiden. Not a great, I'm very disappointed with her overall attitude and output, and going to a place where she should be in a little easier, I think would do her some good. So although Tanzanite Tricks does fit the bill and may be a horse that'll be on the move at some point, I would like to take the time, put a little more weight on her. She has put a little weight on. I saw her on Saturday. I thought she looked good. Little more is needed. That's My Girl is over here now. I'm going to train her in the race bike probably on Wednesday. We'll see how she feels. Tipsy and Dixie, a huge question there. Huge question. This filly is ready to go. 50-some thousand made, non-winners of 4. I think they have a non-winners of 6, fillies and mares 8 or 9 that goes for like 14 US. I love Tipsy and Dixie. I think she's going to have a big year. She's got to get moving. Some question marks still with her. Is this the right time for her? Should we not? I'll talk to James. I'll talk to Harry. I'll talk to race secretary in Plain Ridge. 1, I want to make sure she gets in every week. 2, I don't want her head ripped off. If she's going to get in where she can do some damage and do some good, fine. If she's going to be in really, really tough where she's going to have trot like 56 until we get her back to Ontario, maybe not what we want right away. Still some questions with her that I would like to answer over the next couple of days. Walk on the Moon. Yeah, but no. I mean, geez, we got a horse that's got no wins, none, and can trot like he can. Yeah, I can make an argument to bring him. But I think he's got a great year ahead of him. So again, I'll talk to Mario. We'll talk to everybody involved with Walk on the Moon. Possible. Another possible horse, but we will see. Where We Welcome is a horse immediately when we talked about this, like James and I, and then the race secretary, and I kind of talked to my alternate self in my head. The first horse that came up was Where We Welcome. To be honest, it was No Free Lunch and Where We Welcome. So I want to see the timeline. We have to make a strict timeline. Remember, Where We Welcome is qualified. No Free Lunch is not. A couple of these horses are not qualified. So that means you have to get papers for them, ship them over here, qualify them over here. May need another stiff mile before you just send them into hard competition in another jurisdiction. So now you're looking at 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Now you're looking at mid-May before they're actually ready to rock in Massachusetts. Do we just hold out and hope for June 1st, or do we move them? These are questions I really have to answer over the next couple of days, and I'm going to try my best to do that in the near future. And then we are at Well and Down, again, a horse that entered in the sale, but not to say that we're going to sell her. Nobody's saying we have to sell this filly. I'm just trying to hedge my bets. She might come out and lays X and win in 54. And the 150 we spent putting her in the sale is an afterthought. No big deal. Who cares? But if things don't go our way, it's nice to have an alternate plan, and that's the only reason we paid her into the sale. And then Won My Heart Hanover. I don't know what she drew in the final, but man, oh man, this is a gorgeous filly. She looked so good training the other day, schooling for Billy Davis. Really impressed with her. I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the final. I'm going to drive her probably, and she's going to be close to the front end, I can tell you that. So although we don't have our best filly, not to take anything away from Won My Heart, I love her to death. She can't beat Aglariam, I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think. But we will find out how she does in the final very, very soon. So that's a 3-year-old list. I know I told everybody the 3-year-olds aren't going anywhere. The Ontario breds aren't going anywhere. But we live in a time, I guess, when nothing is for certain. So, although my stress level is dissipating on the home front of finding a house, because I think we found one, dissipating on the home front of finding a nanny or a babysitter, might have found one, it is being heightened when it comes to our racehorses again. So, Although I thought we were getting our feet underneath us, the ground's about to shake again. So I will talk to all you very, very soon. As I said, thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for your very, very kind notes. It has been incredibly stressful and difficult the last week, 2 weeks, last year. But we're here now. We're in Ohio. We're going to start racing. It looks like we're going to have a big week ahead of us. Take care.